Welcome to the Explainer. So, if you're even casually browsing real estate listings in the volunteer state right now, you really need to hit pause for a second and listen up. Today, we're mastering the Tennessee Mortgage Calculator. I want you to think of this not just as a simple math tool, but as your absolute essential financial shield. Honestly, the most important thing you can do to protect your future is run your localized numbers before you even think about making an offer on a home. Let's dive in.
Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to kick things off with the budgeting challenge, then dive into uncovering the true costs. After that, we'll test financial scenarios, look at navigating the Tennessee market, and finally wrap it all up with taking confident action.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the budgeting challenge, and the hidden risks of home buying.
Stepping into today's wild real estate market completely blind? Yeah, that is a massive risk. So I want you to ask yourself, is your absolute dream home actually within your budget? I know, it sounds like a totally simple question, but balancing a huge new debt with your actual daily life, that's no small feat. Honestly, the biggest trap you can fall into is falling head over heels in love with a house before you know the hard numbers. You've literally got to lock in that budget before the house hunt even begins, not after you've already pictured your furniture in the living room.
Personal finance expert Dave Ramsey actually sums this up perfectly. He says, a budget tells your money where to go, instead of wondering where it went. And it's so true, right? Planning is what prevents financial overextension. And that's exactly where a mortgage calculator comes in. It takes those abstract, pie-in-the-sky financial dreams and turns them into a concrete, easy-to-understand roadmap. It bridges the gap between your dreams and reality.
Moving on to Section 2, uncovering the true costs. I like to call this the iceberg metaphor.
So, the purchase price of your home? Think of that as just the tip of the iceberg floating above the water. To really grasp the massive, unseen costs lurking right beneath the surface, you need to get familiar with PITI. That stands for principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Now, while paying down the principal actually lowers your loan balance, which is great, the interest is a massive fee you're paying just for the privilege of borrowing that money. Add in taxes to fund your local community and insurance to protect your massive new asset, and here's the kicker. Early on in your mortgage, the vast majority of your monthly payment is going straight to interest.
When you really break it down, your principal is just one single slice of the pie. The rest of your hard-earned money each month is being completely eaten up by interest, property taxes, homeowners insurance, and maybe even PMI or HOA fees. If you skip using a calculator to map out every single one of these slices before you buy, man, you are setting yourself up for a very nasty shock when that first monthly bill arrives in the mail.
And honestly, the hits just keep coming. Beyond that monthly payment, you've got hidden closing costs to worry about too. Buying specifically in Tennessee means you are on the hook for unique state levies, like the realty transfer tax and the indebtedness tax. Toss in county recording fees, lender origination fees, appraisal and title charges, and your upfront costs absolutely skyrocket. This is exactly why throwing a dart at the wall and guessing your budget is incredibly dangerous. You need exact hard numbers.
Okay, Section 3. Testing financial scenarios and finding your magic number.
Now that we know the risks, what's the solution? Well, it starts with the 28-36 rule. Financial experts strongly suggest you spend no more than 28% of your gross monthly income on housing costs, and then no more than 36% on your total debt obligations. So that includes things like your student loans, car payments, and credit cards. Using a localized calculator lets you plug in different home prices to see exactly when you hit that 28% ceiling. It keeps you safely in the green zone.
Let's see how building different scenarios can completely alter your long-term financial health. Take a 30-year mortgage, for example. It gives you a lower, much more comfortable monthly payment, sure, but you end up paying significantly more in total interest over the life of that loan. On the flip side, a 15-year term hurts a little bit more month to month, but the total interest you pay drops drastically, and your equity grows so much faster. It's basically the classic sprint versus marathon.
You also absolutely need to test fixed rate versus adjustable rate mortgages, or ARMs. A fixed rate is locked in. It's predictable, it's safe, you know what you're getting. An ARM, though, changes periodically. It might start out with a super enticing low introductory rate, but it carries moderate to high risk down the road. And this is exactly where a calculator becomes your absolute best friend. You can stress test your own budget. What if your ARM rate ticks up just 0.5%? Instantly, you're going to see if that tiny little bump forces you to sell your house. It just proves why you must run these numbers before signing your name on anything.
Let's look at Section 4, navigating the Tennessee market and local realities.
National reports give you the big picture, but real estate is always deeply, deeply local. Tennessee's property values are definitely growing across the board, but the pace changes drastically depending on the region. If you're hunting in a booming metro area, like Nashville or Chattanooga, you're looking at a high price growth driven by a huge influx of jobs. Contrast that with rural areas, where growth is much more moderate, driven by land availability. Your budget is going to stretch very, very differently depending on which of these environments you're targeting.
And guys, this is exactly why a generic national calculator will fail you every time. Property taxes in Tennessee vary wildly. For instance, Shelby County sits at an estimated 1.18%. Meanwhile, just a few hours down the road, Davidson County is at 0.69% and Knox County is around 0.64%. Think about that. That is a massive swing in your monthly obligation depending entirely on what county line your new home happens to sit across. A localized Tennessee-specific calculator bakes this nuance right in for you.
All right, final stretch. Section 5, taking confident action and crunching the numbers.
We've uncovered the hidden costs and the local realities. Now let's execute. First things first, gather up your financial documents. Second, input the home price and your down payment. And here's a pro tip. Try toggling this. Input 15% and then try 20%. You'll see exactly how reaching that magical 20% threshold instantly removes the extra cost of private mortgage insurance. Third, pick your loan term. Fourth, input your expected interest rate. And finally, just hit calculate to reveal your true budget. Having this consistency gives you the ultimate upper hand when you're sitting across the desk from a lender.
Let's wrap this up with a few critical pro tips. Never, ever accept the first offer you get. Compare quotes from at least 3 different lenders, and always demand a standardized loan estimate form from each of them so you can truly compare apples to apples. Verify that APR. And remember this golden rule of real estate. You can always refinance your interest rate if it drops later, but you can never, ever change the purchase price of your home. You're stuck with that. So focus strictly on what you can afford today.
So, the ultimate question remains, are you actually financially ready to step into the Tennessee housing market? You can't answer that with just a gut feeling or some generic guess. You can only answer that with hard, localized data. It's time to take control of your financial future. Get online and start crunching your own numbers through a Tennessee mortgage calculator today. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, happy house hunting.